You've seen what we're about. You've man, guys, thank you so much for subscribing to Let's Create Africa, for being with us through it all, and just walking with us through it all. So please remember, if you need to just comment, highlight anything, just holler at us on YouTube. We are live on YouTube. We are live also on Facebook at Wahiga Kemuturi. We're also live on Twitter. That's Let's Create Africa also. So let us hear from you. We want to know what you feel about our show. We want to hear your questions to Henry. We want to hear everything that you have to offer to us. So please remember, the hashtag is Let's Create Africa. Yep. Good. So today we have a very special gentleman, a friend of mine from Rwanda. I hope, Henry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Good, man. Please introduce yourself to my peoples.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for the invite, man. I appreciate. So my name is Henri Nyakarundi. I'm from Rwanda, and I don't know how much you want me to say, but briefly, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in business for 20 years. I've traveled. I grew up in Burundi, then moved to the States for college. And like most people, I go to college and you get stuck over there. And then I moved back about 7 years ago, back to East Africa, Rwanda, to start a company called ARED, which is a tech for social good company. And that's pretty much my journey. I'm a father. I'm a husband. Father of a boy and two girls. So it's life.
Mm-hmm. Please, in the list, what's your current profession at the moment?
Well, I run a company called ARED. So I'm the managing director of ARED. And basically my role at the company is focusing on expansion and partnership.
Tell us more about that. What's ARED about?
Yeah, so ARED, it's a tech company for social good. It's an idea that I had in 2009. So in 2008, 2009, I made the decision I wanted to come back to Africa. Especially 2008, that was during the financial crisis that was heavy in the States. And I got tired of living in the States. I felt like it was time for me to come back home. And I was visiting home and I started seeing the changes happening on the East African bloc, the laws, the process, especially Rwanda with the policies, the ease of doing business, so on and so forth. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go back home, but what am I going to be doing, right? So I look at different sector, agricultural sector, renewable sector, and I felt like energy was a space I wanted to be in. So from that standpoint, I was like, okay, what am I going to do in renewable energy? And the idea of a solar kiosk came about. And initially, the idea was to develop a kiosk that will help people on the ground charge phone, but also create job where the kiosk operator is able to generate revenue from the phone charging. And that's how it started. It took 4 years to develop the first prototype. Then in 2013, I moved back, I tested. But of course, just like any businesses, after 7 years, it evolved. Now what we are, we what we call a multi-service digital edge network. So what we're solving today with our technology is no longer just phone charging, but last mile connectivity, which I believe is the biggest challenge in Africa. We talk about connectivity, but we talk about digitization of services, yet access is still a big problem. So we evolve now into Wi-Fi connectivity on the kiosk, but also using what we call a mini server platform that is built in within the kiosk, where we can store digital application on this kiosk and distribute it via Wi-Fi to minimize the cost of internet, because internet in Africa is very expensive for a lot of people. Number one, but number two, also most of the smartphone in rural areas, semi-urban area are low-end smartphones. So they're very limited to what they can do on their phone. So this is the space we're in now. We're in 4 markets: Rwanda, Uganda, Burkina Faso, and Ivory Coast. And we currently in our expansion plan and we're adding about 2 countries. We'll be in Senegal and Nigeria next year. And yeah, so that's the journey pretty much so far.
Interesting. So you're an, for lack of a better way to say it, you're an African who came from the US, the land of opportunity and the likes, and came back home to actually build home. Why would you do that when many of the Africans, especially the young ones, are trying to go to the US? I mean, it's the land of free and fair and well, Trump on good days.
You're right. But Trump no more. Trump is gone now. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But you're right. I mean, again, you know, when you're young, you think the grass is greener somewhere else, right? And because of the media, at least for me, I used to dream about the States, man. My favorite show, was used to be The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That was my favorite show growing up. So
Most
that
deaf, I
was,
hear you. Now we know how
uh,
old you are, man.
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? That's my generation right there. So
Uh-huh.
this is what I thought the States was. Everybody's rich, everybody's doing great. The States is perfect, and don't get me wrong, I learned a lot from the States. There's a lot of good things over there also, but the reality
Yep.
was totally different of my perception of what America was. And when I got there, to me, America was the toughest country I ever lived in. In all the country I've lived in, Burundi, as I said, I lived in Ethiopia for a little while, and America was the toughest country I ever lived in because
Mhm.
it's highly competitive. It's a country that don't forgive. It doesn't have the same culture that we do in Africa. If you lay for rent, for example, I was homeless for a week at one point in my life. If you
Mhm.
lay for rent, you can talk to your landlord in Africa. In most African countries, I know, you can talk
Yep.
to the landlord. You can negotiate. You can not in America. It's all about the money, 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 money. And at some point, I got tired. I got burned out, if you want to call it. I got burned out. I was running a successful business, my last business. I was like, okay, there's nothing better than home, first of all. Second of all, I felt like I could have a much bigger impact because in the States you also have some limitation as a black man or woman, or a minority as in general. You have some
Mhm.
limitation, and I felt like I can do much better and I can do much good back home in Africa, and that's what started the journey. And then from there, I had to plan my way back home because when you're gone for so long, I was gone for 17 years. It's not that easy just to switch and go back. You have to reprogram yourself. You have to really, start getting used to a different lifestyle and all those things. So it took me 4 years to get my way back. But I would say to any young man or woman dreaming about the West, whether it's Europe or America, listen, have a realistic dream. The good thing now today is social media show you a more balanced story. We didn't have social media when I was a teenager or in my 20s. So all you had was the news and the shows and all that. Now it's more balanced. More people are more aware of the racism and all these killings from the cops and all. It's some real stuff, man. It's real out there, man. It's not easy, and you see more racism growing now today. So for me, this was I went, I experienced, I struggled, I learned. All right, now I wanted to come back and implement some of my knowledge and do something great.
Amazing, amazing stuff, man. I mean, the reality of what you're talking is nearly the same thing we've seen during the elections, right? Um, and, and sorry to say that, but America was pivotal in perspective and brand. When we looked at America, we all wanted to be part of America, whatever it was. But now I think we have a different version of it, and it's okay. Like we no longer feel tied to the brand image that is America, because now we are seeing, hey guys, you nearly could be like us or worse than us. It's just that we can't send UN troops to you, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, tell me about some of the few impact highlights of your work, either with RED or personally, especially when you came back to Africa.
Yeah, so the impact space, when I started ARED, impact, the word social impact was not even existent. But I wanted to do something, for a long time, for 15 years, all the business I was doing, I've been an entrepreneur for 20 plus years now. All the business I was doing was driven by money. Um, and I felt like I was missing out on something because I learned from my last business that doing something just for money is not fulfilling. I mean, that was my finally just I got awoke and I was like, no, this is not fulfilling. You focus on money and you becoming a slave to this money. So I was like, my next business will be impactful. And at ARED, impact is at the center of the company. Yes, we are for profit because of course you have to pay bills, but at the same time, making an impact is really what drives me. And the impact we make on the business level is several. We call this a triple bottom impact system. We use renewable energy technology on our kiosk. So we have an energy impact. We have an economical impact. So we focus on women, people with disability to operate those kiosks and generate money from those kiosks. And then we have a technological impact. Unfortunately, we most companies, technology or anything, we trying to focus so much on middle class, upper class, and we letting down the base of the pyramid, as we call it. And I felt like this is a problem because the gap, the financial gap between the rich and the poor, just keep growing around the world. And if we don't start focusing on those communities, then we're gonna really in the long run we're gonna create tension, more and more tension. Especially, I was looking at the statistic. Africa is going to be 4.1 billion people by the end of this century. We're 1.4 right now. We're going to triple almost our population. Can you imagine the social impact that's going to bring, the tension if we don't solve those challenges? So those are the level of impact we bring at ARED. But of course, I do some other stuff on a personal level. I do vlogs and all those things to really educate the youth about entrepreneurship. I feel like us African, and that's my view now being back, we don't share information among ourselves. We have this we have this we have the wrong mindset. We value foreign entrepreneur more than we value our own. We have a complex. We have an inferiority complex, and that's the reality. And I have no shame to say it. And to me, to change the narrative, we have to talk about it. We can't just sit around, do our own thing, not share anything. And this is why the West and other, if you look at the communities that succeed the most, they work together very well. And I'm not talking about working together among Rwandan, among Kenyans, among Ugandan. I'm talking about among Africans. We need to start, sharing our information, working together, because it's a struggle. It's a struggle, man. So that's pretty much what I do as far as impact.
Wow, those are strong words. just
Yeah,
to
it
just to
is.
recall, just to recall something. Where are you born and raised? So that my viewers also put perspective to where you're coming from in the region.
Well, they're love, man. I was born in Nairobi. I was raised,
Yay!
yeah, I was
What it
born in
do?
Nairobi at
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the hospital, but yeah, I was born by you know the history, right? Rwanda, a lot of the Rwandan were refugees, right, for a long time, a little bit like Somalians. So I grew up as a refugee, but not as your traditional refugee you see on TV. My parents were middle class, so my grandfather was a doctor in Nairobi. So I was born there, and then I grew up in Burundi till I graduated from high school, and then I moved to the States.
Okay, just to confirm something, you've actually you've made a very big distinction. Something we were talking with my wife yesterday, when we were talking about refugees. You've clearly said you weren't like one of the refugees we see on TV. You come from middle class. Why aren't you one? Why aren't you ashamed about putting perspective to that? And two, why are you making that very clear?
Yeah, because I don't want the pity. Oh, he was a refugees. No, I had a great life, man. I went to private school. I didn't even know I was a refugee till I was 13. Actually, I found out I was a refugee when I started traveling back to Nairobi. At that time, around the region, we had that refugee passport. And it was a very difficult to try. It's not like now East African bloc you can go anywhere without no visa. But back then it was really really tough. And the reason also I want to say that is again is to give awareness of this different type of refugees. But I don't want no pity because I didn't ate. We were living in the city, but we just had that label. We just had the label of refugees. But my life was a great life, man. I mean, we were not rich, but we're not poor. We just had a good life. That's pretty much.
That's interesting because most people would use that for mileage.
Exactly, and I don't want. I feel that that's kind of that don't make any sense, man. To me, you have to, you have to tell the truth, man. You have to be honest with yourself first of all. When you start lying, you're lying to yourself. No, man. It was just a label, refugees that was on us, but the life was good. My parents had jobs. They already had integrated. So I was, if you want to call, I was a second generation refugee. So I didn't have to struggle like my parents. My parents, I mean, my dad was not, but my mom was a Rwandan refugee, and my family, they struggled. They went through hell. But me, I was second generation. So they had time to build something for us so we don't have to struggle so much. Yeah. So, that was a big difference.
Thank you for that perspective, man. I mean, thank you for owning your story as it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Why do you think your work is relevant in Africa, be it with ARED or be it with you even coming back home? I mean, that's a story by itself.
Yeah, I mean, we for me the greatness of the story is the narrative. The narrative. My generation, our dream was to get out of Africa. At that time, in the mid 90s, there was war all over the region for years. Congo,
Yep.
Rwanda, Burundi was fighting. The whole region was just. So I think the narrative. It's important for the narrative, and it's important to inspire the next generation. You cannot inspire someone when you're in America and tell them, "Nah, man, stay there, man. It's great. Just stay there." It doesn't make sense. You're contradicting yourself because you're not even on the ground. So my thinking was, let me come. I knew there was opportunity. I knew that of course you have to change your mindset to make it happen. But I knew for me and for my kids, especially for my kids, if I truly believe in this Africa, I have first to move back home. If I truly believe in this Africa, I have to do something over there. And I think it's more important because only African can build Africa. Only African can
Amen to
bring an
that. Take me
impact
to
to
church,
Africa.
brother.
And exactly, and we have this mentality of, and not maybe not us, but our leaders have this mentality that Africa will be built by foreigners. No, man, they're not here to build Africa. They're here to build their own countries or continent. Only us can build Africa. And we cannot talk about this building if we are outside the continent. So I wanted to be part of that narrative. And I really want to bring my contribution. As small as it is, it doesn't matter. We all have to do our contribution to make this better, especially in the tech space. And this tech space, we talk about how Africa is growing and doing great, but we don't own
we
that
don't we
technology.
don't own it, man.
We don't own nothing. We're almost nothing. All we do
Ouch.
is talk, but we don't own nothing.
Oh
You look
man.
around, how many patents does Africa register every year? There's countries, not continent, there's countries that register more patents than the whole continent of Africa. It's just crazy, man. So we need to really be honest with ourselves and stop lying to ourselves, man. And so yeah, so that's part of what the reason why, it's not just about area. To me, it's a fight. It's a bigger fight, and I want to be part of this fight. And I'm hoping at least because I need to build this for my kids, man. I don't want my kids to have the same complex we had growing up. You know what I mean? So for us, we have to break that pattern at some point. And I feel like this is the time.
Impressive, man. Impressive. We own nothing.
Nothing, man. I can list you technology. Go ahead.
Sorry. You were saying something.
No, I say I can list you technology that we claim they're African, but they're not. They're not even owned by African. But because they label foreign countries are able to label it African, and we buy into this labeling, and then and I don't want to knock anybody else. I mean, I don't want to knock anyone that foreigners that are trying to do business in Africa, but I'm talking about us, Africa. We need to start. We need for us to build. I always use the example of China. If you go to conferences, for example, you don't see foreigners speaking about Chinese technology policies and expansion. But in Africa, we have so many consultants from Europe, America, talking about the strategy of Africa. It doesn't make any sense to me. You want to tell me we can't find local talent that talk about, can develop AI, can talk about policies and all those things. I mean, I do. Well, besides the COVID, but I used to do a lot of conferences every year, and I was amazed. The panels was a lot of foreigners talking about Africa, and they were expert of Africa, and that just don't make no sense to me. It doesn't make sense, to me, it doesn't make sense, man. It's dangerous. It's dangerous, and it contributes to this mindset that we now qualify to build our own continent or to develop our own continent. So I mean, obviously, I'm on the low end of the spectrum, so I do what I can on my level. I'm not in politics. I'm not a politician. But at the same time, if we all contribute and if we all share and work together, I think we can achieve it.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank you, man. Hey, I think I'm done even with the questions. Like, guys are throwing in questions your way, man. Like, anyway, but good to know. And I also think it's something when it comes to policy and advocacy for getting government involved in the work of Africans, because you've talked about patenting. And still now, I don't think I know a country that's still good at it, in Africa. Well, apart from South Africa and Northern Africa, maybe Morocco and the likes. But still, within the rest of the countries, patenting, copyright, all those things are nearly foreign to even our own governments. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. So let me tell you a story about patents.
Okay.
So I came
you
back.
have a story, man.
Yeah, I got a story for everything, man. Everything I talk about, I got stories for. So I come back, I go to the RDB, the Rwandan Development Board. The good thing here, they centralize everything there. So I'm like, all right, I want to patent my technology, so on and so forth. So they're looking at me like, hold on, you want to patent? Oh, it's a foreign technology. So already the guy could not believe that the Rwandan had a technology he could patent. So that conversation was already problematic, right? So the guy is looking at me. I'm trying to explain to the guy, listen, this is my technology. I'm trying, and it spent 5 minutes trying to convince this guy that this is a Rwandan technology or Rwandan person technology. So, and you're right, patent is a huge problem in Africa. That's why you don't see a lot of startups doing patent, because the complexity, first of all, it's very expensive. Just in one country, we spend $2,000 just for Rwanda. $2,000 on patent. That's ridiculous. It's not centralized. It's very, so you can patent, there's blocks, you can patent East and some Western, some Southern African country. Then there's a patent process for the Western. I did a vlog about that actually. Western, and then even when you file for the patent, they got to manually file to every of those countries. So that definitely needs to be solved. It definitely needs to be centralized, digitized, and I truly believe we live in a world where technology can solve a lot of those problems, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just about will now. It's about will to do so.
And do you think the AFCTA, the Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement, would actually help with this? Do you think
Of
it's even something
course,
we are trying to embrace as Africans?
of course. The you know, I was speaking about something earlier. We for decades, Africa has spent so much time trying to build relationship, economical relationship with foreigners, China,
Mm-hmm.
America, Europe, but we don't do much with ourselves. We always turn our head outside the continent, thinking this is where the money is, thinking this is where we need to be at. But I think slowly but surely the mindset that the free trade is a great initiative. Now, how long it will take to get there, because you also have internal problems between countries and all, but it's definitely a great initiative. I'll tell you another great thing that is happening. This East Africa no visa um, policy. It's amazing. If it wasn't for that, and now, for example, Kenya is the same. You can go to Ghana without a visa. You can go to Ivory Coast without a visa. You can go to well, not yet Nigeria. So I've been traveling to all those countries, and now, like Ethiopia, Nigeria, now they have digitized. You can apply. I used to go to embassy, and the ambassador is not there, so you have to come back. You have to write a letter, show your bank accounts. I can tell you, man. So all this ease is gonna really help for companies to really start, individuals or entrepreneurs to travel around Africa, see the opportunity. There's much more opportunity within the continent than there is outside the continent, for sure. There's a lot of the market is big enough, man. We're talking about 55 plus, 50 plus countries, and that needs different things. Whether it's in agricultural sector, whether it's in tech, and all those things. So the easier we make it, the more business we can do with each other, and the more dependency we can have with each other to minimize wars or disputes and all those things. So it's key, man. And we look at Europe. Europe, they used to go to war every 5 or 6 years, man. They used to have World War One, World War Two, but now they understood the EU and all those things, can minimize all those stuff. So we have to have that same mindset, but of course, learn from their mistakes so we don't do the same.
Impressive. So who are the main beneficiaries of the work that you do?
So we work in rural areas and refugee camps. Those are the two communities we focus on. Mostly on the end user side, they usually, it's pretty much balanced, but it's between 18 to 40, mostly male that use our platform. But on the job creation, it's mostly women and people with disability that really benefit from our technology. And we are B2B2C companies, so we now provide technology mostly to NGOs and telecom companies. So we don't implement the solution anymore. We did that in Rwanda to learn, test, but now we're a technology company. We want to use our technology, our know-how, our impact to develop partnership. Because let's be honest, if you want to scale in Africa, because of how fragmented the African market is, you have to have a very innovative business model, and that's what I learned. And partnership is definitely key.
Disruption is key also.
Disruption, but business model. I see a lot of companies that spend too much time on technology, not enough on business model, and that's why you say they're only staying local. You don't see that many companies going beyond their borders because of poor business model. I always say, for example, if you want to go to if you're a app, what I would do, for example, if you're an app tech and you have an interesting app, let's use fintech as an example. Let's say you have a fintech app.
Yep.
We all know how hard it is for average African to raise money. We already know. You know, there's still no unicorns in Africa, in tech. Africans, huh? Don't tell me about
African
Junior and all.
owned.
They're not Africans.
African
African
owned.
owned by an African. You know,
Okay.
there's none. Why? Because resources, because there's a lack of liquidity in the market. So I always tell people, focus on the business model. Instead of trying to go and operate in Uganda, if you're in Rwanda or Kenya and all, merge. Trying to look for ways to merge with like-minded companies that do exactly or similar to what you're doing. Merge, you know, negotiate, merge, and create a holding company. And then you go to different company and you merge, you make it bigger. It doesn't require capital. Of course, it requires understanding with the owners, who's going to be the head and all those things. But that's part of business. But merge. If you're going to chase money, trying to do what companies in the West where they can raise a few $1 million just on an idea, you know, they can afford to go and operate in multiple countries. We can't. So you have to spend as much time on your business model than on your technology. That's a fact.
Impressive. I know you've talked about your work, especially in relation to ARED, but I also want to know about, I think my viewers also want to know about your work in terms of writing your books, in terms of moving around, just trying to see how you can create impact in Africa for social entrepreneurs and the likes. I think you should also talk about that so that we can also see who are your greatest beneficiaries with that.
Yeah, the book, that was my first book. I really wanted, it's more of a biography than a self-help book. The second book will be a self-help book for social entrepreneur. But this book was more about, so I speak a lot to startups, schools, students, and all those things. And as you said, the narrative was always the same. Why would you leave America to come back to Africa? That was the most of the question I was getting. And it hit me. I was like, wow, this is ingrained in us. You know, we just believe that the Western countries are better than Africa. And I wanted to share my story about America, the good and the bad. You know, how I was homeless, how I spent a day and a half in jail for something ridiculous. You know, how you know how tough it is. You know, you know, at some point I was stressing so much I had a heart problem. My heart was you know, the stress level was so high. My doctor was telling me, man, that was because of my previous business. It was like, man, if you keep stressing like this, you're going to get a heart attack. So I wanted to share that story to really shed light, because people think when you leave America, it's for two reasons. All right. Either you got deported, you know, America deported you, or either you're running from the law. You know, that's the only reason why you would come back to Africa, you know, because they wouldn't. And I'm not even talking about people that I don't know, you know, just strangers. I'm talking about even family members asking me. I remember telling my mom, man, I'm leaving. I'm coming back. She's like, what? Come back to do what? What you gonna be doing, man? Like, you're doing great over there. What you gonna be coming back to? And I remember telling her, no, I want to do phone charging. She was like, oh my God. My son has lost his mind. Phone charging in rural areas? Oh, Lord. And then she was like, I remember clear. She was like, if you come back, don't ask me for any money. You know, so I was like, wow. Yeah, man, my mom is a tough one, man. But she didn't understand, you know, it's hard to paint a vision to anyone, you know, because that's your vision, right? It's very difficult, almost impossible for anybody to understand or comprehend somebody else's vision without being existing. You know, we believe in what we see, not what we hear. You know, so yeah, so that was an interesting. But people, man, even in my African brothers and sisters in the States, they're like, no, man, are you crazy? So from all corners, man, I was getting all this stuff, but I've always been good at, when I make a decision, that's it, man. I jump and I figure things out as we go. And by far it was the best decision I ever made. I mean, if I had to compare what I've achieved in 7 years and what I've achieved in 17 years in America, it's night and day, man. It's night and day.
Wow. That's a story of hope, man. Like, thank you for
For
that.
sure, man. For sure.
Thank you for putting clarity and perspective to that. I mean, the many young people who are looking to hear that and also see your life, because as you said, people believe in what they see, not what they hear. Um, they can look you up and just know, okay, he made it when he came back to Africa, not while he was in the US. Um, so thank you for that. Somebody else is asking, how has your industry evolved, or will evolve in lieu of the pandemic?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
How has your industry evolved and/or will evolve in lieu of the pandemic?
Oh, well, the industry didn't really evolve, but our company did. I mean, one of the things we implemented due to the pandemic, now we work remotely, no more offices. I've scratched the idea of having offices now and ever. I feel like now with technology, you can work remote, like we're doing, you can talk to your team via video chat. And so the second thing is, the pandemic has really put a light on focus now on be sustainability. A lot of time you do something positive and you get grants, you get funding, and you're accustomed to that process, and you don't necessarily focus on sustainability and generating enough money to survive in case of a crisis. And that's now been my focus now, to build sustainability, and so I can stop depending on grants and all those things. So those are the two key areas. But as far as connectivity per se, I mean, that's still a problem. As a matter of fact, poverty has increased 20% now because of COVID. So the problematic is not going to go away; it's going to increase, and with the population increasing, it's going to be even worse. So, yeah, those are the two main things that has changed really for me during this time.
Amazing, man. Wow. I mean, guys are loving what you're talking about, man. Especially the realistic part of how you view US now and Africa at the same time. Like man, guys are going crazy on social media, so that's cool. uh, Last but not least, what's the one book that you read that's turned your life around, or better yet, your life perspective? Well, that means apart from your books, that is.
No, the best book I ever read that really motivated me, it's called Unstoppable. I forgot the author, but it's a bunch of stories of people that are born either with disability or in extreme poverty and rise to the occasion. And to me, those are stories that really does not allow me to have any excuses of any challenges I have. Anytime I have a challenge, I always go back to those stories, and really um, get motivation from it. But that's to me the best. Unstoppable. Of course, you have the traditional. I'm really into business book. Think and Grow Rich was a great book I read from Napoleon Hill. But I
Oh, the
like,
Napoleon Hill.
yeah, Napoleon Hill. That was the first book I ever read about business, and it really gave me perspective. I mean, the other thing is our educational system for a long time, even to this day. You go to school to be an employee. That's what school teach you.
Yep.
University teach you. They teach you to be a job seeker, not a job creator. It's just a fact. And when I read about Napoleon Hill, um, and how it trained me to have a different mindset, the mindset of business, where
Mhm.
in the job they tell you, you get paid hourly, where you only got 8 hours up to 10 hours you can work in a day in a company, but in a business, you're rewarded by a service or product you provide, and it doesn't minimize you based on time. So it's a mindset that we need to teach our kids, because it's a great mindset, and that's what America is still number one, because that's the kind of mindset they teach. And that's one thing I learned. I don't think I would have been the entrepreneur I am today if I didn't go to the States. because this is what you learn from TV, from books. How many books do you know that are written by Africans that really focus into this mindset? I mean, there is now, it's starting. I've seen a few, but for a long time, there was none. There was none. We are taught to go to school, get an education, get a job. And in some countries, the best jobs are government jobs, so which, and I don't want to knock, we need government, servants, we do need, but, we need to change because again, and I don't want to generalize, but the reality is for a long time, the way you become successful in Africa is through the government. You go, you get into government, and that's how you make your money. So we need to change that mindset. But yeah, man, those are the books, those two books that really changed my life and still inspire me to this day.
Impressive. I think that's neocolonialism still in place, doing its work, man.
Yep.
Your best music, man, or best music genre.
Man, I rap all day, man. Tupac is my favorite artist, man. I Pac all day, man. I bump Pac every time I'm down. I mean, I got some other artists, but West Coast, that's really where my I like West Coast. I like Snoop, but Tupac is my favorite one by far. And nice. I would say also Bob Marley, man. I used to listen to heavy when I before I got to the States. Bob Marley was my favorite. So Bob Marley and Pac are really my biggest inspiration.
Nice, Tupac, Bob Marley. I can see the difference. But funny thing, I mean, both of them nearly had the same inspiration in terms of lyrical content and the social reforms. They nearly spoke the same language when it came to that. Different genres, but man, you could see them speaking about the same things over across continents, man.
Yeah. But Pac has a little bit more anger than Bob, man. Pac was very feisty, and that's what I love. That's what I like about him. It was like, man, we're not gonna wait. If you listen to some of his lyrics, we can't wait another generation. It was like, nah, man, we gonna retaliate and all those things. So that's a little bit my spirit also. I'm very feisty.
You're
and feisty. A fighter. Yeah, I'm very feisty, man. I don't say what people want to hear, and it got me in trouble a lot of times. But I don't care.
I'm sure even when you got back, man, you got you in trouble. Especially
there's people. Not from government. Even though, man, I used to tweet about the city and government officials just, when I felt like they were doing wrong and all. But I never, here it's not as bad as people think. But at the same time, it was not from government level, it was from individual warning me, hey, you need to calm down, or telling me, man, you're not going to, I mean, somebody a year ago was telling me how I'm blacklisted in some businesses here because of the way I talk and the things I say. But I don't care, man. To me, I prefer being honest than trying to live a lie, man. I just see too many people being hypocrites and living a lie and staying on and being selfish. That's not me, man. I rather be average economically, but at least people, but the message is passed on to what I believe what's going on, and hopefully inspire somebody to use that information and do something about it than just be selfish, man. I feel like we're very selfish on the continent right now. We're just not, we're not, and I'm generalizing, but there's people doing great work, but we need to be less selfish, man.
Great. Best movie, man. Best movie.
I'm a sci-fi. Star Wars is my favorite movie of all time, man. But recently,
which African
Wakanda,
Star Wars Wakanda. Is that thing.
yeah, no, man. But recently, Black Panther, of course. Oh man, I saw that movie like at least 10 times, man, since it came out, man. That was the movie, man. That was the movie.
It's still fresh.
But I'm a sci-fi, man. Absolutely, man.
Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Let's Create Africa. I mean, today you see we were with Henri Nyakarundi, the guy who loves Star Wars more than most Africans. But hey, not judging here. he's doing a good job on the ground at least. So we're thankful for that. So guys, I'll put his links on the channel so that you guys can check him out later. But it's been amazing talking with you, Henry. I think maybe the last thing I would ask you is, what last word do you have for guys out there, especially Africans, that you can tell them? But even before that, when you hear "Let's Create Africa," what comes to mind for you?
Well, when I hear "Let's Create Africa," to me, it's African building their own future, not create Africa in a sense where it's been created by somebody else perception, somebody else technology outside the continent, and we just consumer of that Africa as African. So to me, we need to own the whole value chain of Africa. If we don't, then that's not creating Africa. That's just being a spectator of the African growth. So that's my view on it.
Wow. This is called sustainable development. Anyway, guys, let's create Africa. You had it nowhere else but here. We had Henri Nyakarundi from Rwanda, where you're based right now, right?
Yeah, I'm based in Rwanda.
Great. So please, guys, check him out. I'll be putting the link in a few minutes. Thank you so much for joining us today. We had around 52 people. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I enjoy that. It seems he was meaningful to you guys, so that's good. This is where we inform, inspire, and highlight change makers in Africa. My name is Wahiga K. Muturi, and I was interviewing Henri Nyakarundi. And I've already put the link for you guys. Please check him out. He's an amazing fellow. He'll be doing his second book, so please read the first one before he removes the second one. It will be a good thing. How can guys get your books, by the way?
No, it's on Amazon, but if you go to my personal website, Henri Nyakarundi with an I, henrinyakarundi.com, you'll see the link of the books, the book on Amazon. But yeah, the digital or the actual copy.
Great. I haven't seen the link. Just post it up for guys to take it up in a few. Asanteni sana. It's been a pleasure hosting you. Please remember, this is Let's Create Africa, where we seek to inform, inspire, and highlight change makers in Africa. Today we had Henri Nyakarundi from Rwanda. It's been fun. It's been real. See you next Tuesday, guys. And I hope to keep hearing from you as the week continues. Reach out to Henry. Tell him, hey, we heard about you from Wahiga, so please answer our calls and messages. Just force him to listen to you. Use my name, guys. Now you can name drop. Finally. It's been a pleasure hosting you all. God bless. Wakanda forever, man.
Hey, Wakanda forever, man. Hey, thanks again, man. Let's keep it up.
Thank you, sir.
And let's stay in touch, man, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.
Man, thank you, man. Take care also.